Well, y'all, this is escalating quickly. FAFO seems to be distributing out on the regular because the Russians tried to pull a sneak in the middle of the night about a few Venezuelan oil tankers that they wanted to sneak out. They had Russian flags, they changed the names, they did all sorts of very interesting things. Took off. There was now a race. The United States Coast Guard was in a race with the Russian submarines who were going towards it. We beat them there. We have two more tankers in our collection, and the Brits were like, hey, us too. And then we're sending an aircraft carrier group to the Panama Canal to stop other smuggling from China going the other direction. Y'all, this is getting exciting. All right, everything will be linked in the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. All of these things are linked together, and we are saving the country together. And thank you guys for doing just that. All right, listen, you can follow me on X at Braden LOA. I was doing lots of research this morning, and it turns out this is a fun one. You remember this yesterday? I know, it's crazy. I'm sure that it was completely unrelated. When I told you that the United States had stopped 700,000 barrels of oil going to China every single day, 700,000, the very lifeblood of their economy and their military machine. Yeah, that was interesting. And then we had this morning, the U.S. secures Russia-flagged tanker linked to Venezuela. That guy. This guy might as well, he doesn't need dollar bills. He doesn't need an actual piece of paper in our currency. He just needs a big sign that says, mine. I mean, like, my God, FAFO, I don't know. I got nothing. Starting a monopoly collection of oil tankers because I thought he was Russia's bitch, but it turns out that he's just pissing everybody up. That is weird. Yeah, that's weird. The U.S. secures Russia-flagged tanker linked to Venezuela. Here's the aircraft carrier that we're sending down to the Panama Canal because they can't be sneaking out oil the other direction. And I've got the video stuff for you too. Update, President Trump plans to move the USS Abraham Lincoln from California to Mexico and Panama Canal to counter illegal oil smuggling from Venezuela to China. And now I'm going to ask you a very important question, guys. Why would China and Russia both try to be getting the oil so badly from Venezuela that they would be racing submarines to go protect their tankers and then worry about trying to smuggle out oil going in the other direction across the Pacific? If it wasn't that big of a deal and it wasn't that big of a strategic advantage, and the Americans didn't have Russians and the Chinese by the pelotas, why, oh why, would they be doing the things that they're doing? Because the United States, i.e. you and I, just took the strategic advantage over all of the oil resources. The only one left is Iran. Saudi Arabia is our friend. I mean, guys, are you seeing the strategic differences here? Okay, let's keep on going. A lot better than the short-circuiting Biden who just short-circuit. Okay, here we go. This is from Secretary Kristi Noem. In two pre-dawn operations today, the Coast Guard conducted back-to-back meticulously coordinated boarding of two Ghost Fleet tanker ships. That's important because Ghost Fleet means they're not registered, means they're kind of surreptitious. They kind of like, ooh, sneaky. That's what you're talking about here. Okay, this isn't talking about Russians and we took all the Russian property. These are Ghost Fleet tankers. These are things that aren't registered. There's underhanded things afoot, and the Coast Guard got involved. One in the North Atlantic Sea and one in international waters near the Caribbean. Both vessels, the motor tanker Bella 1 and the motor tanker Sophia, were either last docked in Venezuela or en route to it. Under President Trump's bold and visionary leadership, U.S. Coast Guard tactical teams worked closely with its counterparts at the Departments of War, Departments of Justice, and State, and used their specialized expertise to conduct these operations and conduct two safe, effective boardings within hours of each other. One of these tankers, Tanker Bella, has been trying to evade the Coast Guard for weeks. Again, evading the Coast Guard for weeks. Why would they be doing that if everything was on the up and up? Because the lefties are going to tell you everything's on the up and up. Even changing its flag and painting a new name on the hull while being pursued. That's not what you do if you're up and up. Just saying. In a desperate and failed attempt to escape justice, the heroic crew of the U.S. Coast Guard, Coast Guard, Monroe pursued this vessel across the high seas and through treacherous storms, keeping diligent watch and protecting our country with the determination and patriotism that make Americans proud. These brave men and women deserve our nation's thanks for their selfless devotion to duty. The world's criminals are on notice. Again, there's that notification towards criminals. You can run, but you can't hide. We will never relent in our mission to protect the American people and disrupt the funding of narco-terrorism wherever we find it, period. This is our country's greatest fighting force at their best. This is America first at sea. The Coast Guard is getting involved? Okay, listen. When the Coast Guard's getting involved, everybody wants to play. All right, here's the thing, and I'm going to let this play for a second. This is the footage. Of course, you're seeing the actual landing and the fast rope going on to the actual vessels. Y'all, you have to understand, these are ghost flanker or tanker ships. Okay, these are changing their names at sea. That's illegal. They are changing their flags. They're changing everything about them because they are running illicit operations to try to get back to Russia. Russia sends a freaking submarine to protect an illicit vehicle. That doesn't exactly exude confidence. Okay, let's keep on going. I got even more for you. Again, this is the newest stuff that's happening this morning. From the U.S. Southern Command, in a pre-dawn action this morning, the Department of War, in coordination with the Department of Homeland Security, apprehended a stateless, sanctioned dark fleet motor tanker without incident. The interdicted vessel, MT Sophia, was operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. Coast Guard is escorting Sophia to the U.S. for final disposition. Through Operation Southern Sphere, the Department of War is unwavering in its mission to crush illicit activity in the Western Hemisphere. See this trend and theme? Illicit activity, smuggling oil out from Venezuela to our opponents, narco-terrorism funding, Western Hemisphere. We will defend our homeland and restore security and strength across the Americas. Guys, what you are actively looking at is a genuine, this is our entire hemisphere. No touchy. Don't come over here. That's what you're looking at. If you had Russian operating ghost tanker fleets, and they're sending submarines, and we beat them there, we take the tankers, and they're going back to America, and the whole thing was a ghost tanker full of oil that was funding narco-terrorism. Are you seeing the angle here? It's very simple what was occurring. You had Russia that was funding illicit narco drugs through the purchase of their oil, which was not in a vessel that was flagged with a national registration, and they were changing the name consistently while the Coast Guard was chasing them. You think this is just a act of war against Russia? Nah. What you're looking at is genuinely the underhanded nature of unregistered stuff. That's what you're looking at, and the Coast Guard just got themselves a little freebie and a little scalp to hang on the wall. Okay, now, before I get to the British thing, I want to talk about, where'd it go? That one. Sending an aircraft carrier group to the Pacific side of the Panama Canal to block any type of tanker run that would go through the blockade into China to fund their machine, that's a boss move. So now you've got them in the Pacific and you got them in the Atlantic. I mean, y'all, this is our Western Hemisphere. That's what this is sending. Strong vibes of don't mess with me. And the British Ministry of Defense, by the way, the media is probably not going to tell you this, and all the little pundits online aren't going to tell you this, but the British Navy and Air Force participated in the interception of the Bella Marina, goodness gracious, Marina today by providing naval and air support. Defense Minister Healy emphasized that the interception was within complete compliance with international and naval law. Guys, the Brits are getting involved. The Russians are sending submarines to go defend ghost tankers. The ghost tankers are filled with Venezuelan illicit oil that has funded a narco-terrorist group. The U.S. Coast Guard catches 2 of them under the support of the British, and I guarantee you the media is going to say this is an act of war against Russia when 10 minutes ago Russia owned Donald Trump, but now Donald Trump's taking their tankers from him, and it's going to be now he's reckless and going to cause a war. That's exactly what you're going to see. I almost guarantee it. China has been cut off from the oil from Venezuela. Russia has been cut off from the oil from Venezuela. They've resorted to sneaking out whatever tankers were left and filled with oil from Venezuela while not running flags and then also changing the names on these ships and their registries. I mean, y'all, listen, things are getting spicy. It is getting hot in here, and I am watching with every fiber of my being because this is a situation, and everything will be kept up to date as we go forward. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.